Hello everyone. I'm back with another video. This time someone is asking me, how do you learn a new song? And I'm go on to say, specifically how this might apply to a standard. This is like a really broad subject. So there's different ways of doing this. You kind of want to learn the chord progression obviously first. So sometimes, depending on the tune, maybe I'll start off, like you heard the very first clip was Very Early by Bill Evans. So I might actually start off just learning the chord progression and like of the tune to see if it's something that I might be interested into developing. And then later maybe add the melody to it. Simplicity seems to be the way to go. I mean, you're really doing what I call multiple iterations. So you learn a tune, the skeleton form of it, and then it goes through several cycles until it's like continuous improvement. But unless you're really artistically gifted or something, usually it takes most of us several days or practice sessions or encounters or things in order to build a more finished product, like a more polished product, like something that's, okay, for example, when you play a video game, you'll get through the basic campaign or something, and yeah, you did good, maybe you did exceptional on that playthrough, but if it's of any quality, you'll probably go through it again, or maybe even several times. But by the time you get to the last playthrough, you'll know tricks, you'll know little things that you could have done differently here and there, just other things that you could do to make it a more fulfilling experience. But there's no way you could have possibly known those things until you had let it go through multiple iterations. So, like, for example, the changes to that tune. That's just straight up playing it, there's different ways to approach it. And there I'm breaking things up. It's sort of like certain piano literature, or even like how the 4-mallet marimba players kind of roll chords. But you can get a little more polyphonic because you got 8 mallets. Well, really 10 mallets. But maybe, I do this a lot, like where I'm like hitting a note with my thumb, even when I'm tapping, like so. Like that. It's kind of tricky. Like it can get kind of weird, like where you're trying to keep the groove going. Also, for example, like this George Benson tune. Anyway, I got sidetracked. So learning the tune, by this point, you should already be fairly adept in your knowledge of theory or guitar chords. If you're even trying to play jazz tunes or even more advanced prog music or something, you should have like a good handle on these fundamentals of scales and chords. Also, another thing to do and keep in mind is to cut a tune up into chunks. So you don't just approach it all. This seems kind of like common sense, right? You kind of look at it like, here's a section, and really learn that section. So like this, you know. There's one part. Totally learn that part. So that it's like, okay, bam, instant recall. Then you move on to the other section. That would be a chunk, right? So in that, maybe you'll come across something interesting, like what I was doing on that one section. There's like a weird little bend. So where was I at? See, like little things like that. Just kind of make your arrangement. And that could be anything, like whatever's endemic to your style. Maybe you do like a lot of type of, you know, chord solo. I don't know. There's just an infinite number of possibilities, but remember, cut it up into chunks. A lot of this, however, is really just perseverance. You just have to you have to persevere and kind of say, okay, I'm going to learn this song. And the more you do this, you learn 1, you learn 5, you learn 10. Then after a while, you just kind of have like more of a vocabulary built up. You have like a flow chart in your mind of how, you know, like you're learning tertiary form or the ABA form, you know, like all these different little forms, and how that applies to chord progressions again, it's all theory. It's all theory that you probably should have already looked at in some capacity. But it's just perseverance. You just need to learn 1, learn 10, learn 50, learn 110, you know, just And it doesn't even matter necessarily if you memorize the piece completely, because you can always go grab the lead sheet and go, oh yeah. It's like I'd actually had done that Bill Evans tune years and years and years ago, so it's in my ear, but I don't really remember any of the things I was doing with the arrangement, or even the chords, what they were. So that's kind of what I'm saying is like it's not even necessary to like completely memorize every piece that you're learning, just for the sake of like you can whip it out and perform it at any given moment. What's more important is that you can actually do that within a set amount of time. So most standards, you should be able to probably come up with something within a few hours, where you could actually perform it at the very least. There's a lot of people that are good at coming up with arrangements or sight reading. Even better. But yeah, this is just another skill. It's kind of like akin to arranging. I did a video before about arranging for solo guitar. I don't know that there's a real shortcut, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd say that every time you start working on new tunes, this will help you develop your style, your personal style. So for me, I have this thing I do where a lot of the time I'll do the melody fingerstyle, or like sections of a tune fingerstyle, and then a lot of the improvised sections are just the right hand, with the left hand accompaniment. And there's some differences there because sometimes I'll do counterpoint or flip the parts or have 3 or 4 parts that are intermingled together. It gets kind of complicated. So those kinds of practices kind of help me to develop my own way of looking at learning tunes and things like that. I don't even know what I'm playing here. Just like I was playing these chords earlier. Anyway, yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I was going to say a whole lot more on this subject, but it just seems kind of like something that you just have to persevere and just do a whole lot of, and then after a while you get a bigger bag of tricks and a larger vocabulary to work with, and you see a lot of repeating things. You see a lot of repeating patterns. 2-5-1, for example. It's in a lot of tunes. And after a while, it kind of becomes a way of like, how can I take these familiar elements that are repeated and then repackage them in different ways so that it remains fresh? Because you don't just want to be playing every song with the same voicings, mood, feel. It becomes too cookie cutter. So that's another thing to think about. So I hope this has been educational.